All right, so hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Tainted Lands Mist of Mournton. I'm RJ Cresswell. I'm going to be acting as the Dungeon Master, and we're about to play some Dungeons and Dragons. We'll meet everyone else in a few minutes, but first let's get into a little recap from last time. So, during the last session of our game, your characters began just after defeating Odo in the bandit camp, and were caught off guard as his body disgorged its brain upon the snow and the brain stood on four clawed feet and attacked. Despite the gruesome surprise, your party rallied and defeated the vile thing, with Junie striking the death blow before collapsing in tears. Shortly after that, you observed a lone figure standing on a hill and looking down on the camp a moment before it disappeared into the mist. After taking a few moments to recompose yourselves, you set about different tasks: looting the camp, helping Lynn, Hill, and Owlbear you lured into attacking the bandits, and checking on Killian, the bard you had been hired by Sweetroll the Goblin to rescue. You made camp for the night, and it largely passed without incident, aside from almost everyone being awoken by the sounds of Toby screaming. Toby told everyone that he had read creepy stories from a book of fairy tales you found called the Book of Mirrors, and that those had caused him to have a nightmare. Shortly after waking, your party made plans for getting Killian back to Mournton, and after preparing, you set off through the woods, where you traveled for most of the day before being attacked by some twisted remnants of humanity. During battle, Felly, the redeemed bandit, was knocked unconscious, and after some brief debate, your party decided to leave him behind. But before leaving, Toby picked up a black stone with two white stripes that one of the things from the woods had dropped. Whatever attacked you were many in number, and you could hear them whooping and howling in the woods, following you until you left the Wailing Woods and returned to the Misty Highway. From there you followed the highway back to Mournton, where you returned to the Leering Star Inn. Sweetroll booked a room for him and Killian, and he returned to the tavern to find everyone drinking but Toby, who had fallen asleep at the table. Sweetroll made mention of payment, and Sir Kay forgave the debt, telling Sweetroll that he would cover the gold. Toby awoke and left for his home, but the rest of the party decided to drink away the events of the past 2 days. Events that left you all with some questions like, how could such a thing as the brain monster exist? Who was on the hill? What attacked us in the woods? And why were they carrying that black stone? Now, let's take a moment, have everyone introduce themselves, tell us who you are, who you play, how your characters are coping with the events of the last 2 days, and what they're doing right now, the morning of the day after returning to Mournton. So, if you can, Lewis, if you will lead us through all that information for Wallace and yourself.
Oh, okay. So my name is Lewis. I play as Wallace MacDonald, who is a cleric of the Trickery Domain. The past couple of days has deeply disturbed Wallace, almost distracted him in a way from his initial purpose for him being here in Mournton. After reluctantly joining in festivities last night, Wallace has woken up with a bit of a sore head, and he's at the bar currently, just sort of nursing his hangover.
Okay. Junie, or excuse me, Shondell, if you'll tell us about yourself and what Junie's up to.
I'm Shondell playing Junie. She right now is, I'm going to say, considering the amount of alcohol that she drank the night prior, because of the events that had happened, is probably still passed out. She's probably going to need somebody to come and wake her up. And then after that, definitely will be nursing a hangover. But she's just looking right now to build up some courage, I guess, because she's incredibly hysterical and cowardly.
Okay. All right. Jess, talk to us about yourself, how Wynn's coping, and what she's doing right now.
All right. I'm Jess. I play Wynn, a high elf druid. Nature's supposed to be good, and what she's seen out in the forest the last couple days hasn't exactly been good. So she's trying to wrap her mind around that. she seems fairly composed, but thinking back on it, there is some panic under the surface. And at the moment, she is sitting in the bar after having breakfast, going through her herbalism kit, because she shouldn't have messed up when she tried to help Toby's hip as badly as she did.
Okay. All right. Eric, talk to us about yourself and Sir Kay and how he's doing and what he's doing.
All right. I'm Eric. I play Sir Cadron Lorna. So far, not nearly as pompous as he sounds from the accent. He's been okay so far. In terms of coping, he probably spent the morning before breakfast, like woke up at dawn super early because he's used to the routine, but woke up and kind of had to take a minute to examine like the 3 huge scar marks in his chest from when the brain managed to claw him. I suspect those haven't healed completely because it's a creepy beast, and yeah, so he was examining those and just sort of trying to wrap his head around what happened. And I'd say he was less disturbed by the brain because it's just such an out there creature that he's like, okay, that was a thing. Hopefully I never deal with it again. But he's more terrified by the like eyeless people that we had to run away from in the woods, because at least those seemed human, and he's kind of scared that something might be happening around the town. So he's probably just quietly contemplating those implications over breakfast.
Okay. And then finally, Kristen, talk to us about yourself. Tell us how Toby's doing and what he's doing.
Hello, I'm Kristen, playing Toby, a rock gnome warlock. He is probably a little shut off and sad. He, after he went back to his place in Mournton, he just kind of dove back into tinkering around with some things, maybe cleaning his little, pocket watch, and until he probably passed out on the work table. But he woke up to wanting to examine the gem that he got. So he remembers that's in his pouch and is about to examine that.
Okay. All right. Before we go any further, I want to play around with something that I don't have much familiarity with, but I thought I'd try it out on us tonight and see how it works. So, have any of you ever played with plot points before?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, as kind of a reward for successfully completing your first big adventure together, you all are receiving, as players / characters, 1 plot point. Now, here's what you can do with this 1 plot point. You can use it to kind of interject a bit of story into our game tonight. All right? So now this is going to be nothing big, nothing world-altering. For example, asteroid, or meteor falls from the sky, destroys, the village of Mournton. Nothing like that, but just kind of like some minor plot twists that you might like to interject. So you get to use that if you would like. However, once you introduce and use your plot point, one of the other players is going to kind of give you a negative bump on that. Okay? So, for example, if your characters were crawling through a dungeon, which you're not, but if you were doing some kind of dungeon crawl and you just kind of found yourselves sort of like stuck and not really sure what to do next, one of you could say something along the lines of, I'd like to use my plot point because my character just found a secret door hidden in the wall, and that might be allowable. Now, the opposition to that is that I go to another player to give us a twist on your plot point and that player could say something along the lines of, yeah, well, we open the door, and then there just happens to be this certain creature or trap or something else behind the door. So it allows you as players to almost not quite take on the role of a dungeon master, but to interject some of the story that you would like to see. So you get to drive the story a little bit if you like. Okay? Now, you don't have to use these, but you have them should you want to. Okay.
Good to know.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm a little nervous, so we'll all right. So I've listened to you all, but last time, Lewis, when we were leaving off, you were attempting to speak with the innkeeper. All right. But it was about time for us to end. So I kind of wanted to come back to Wallace here. All right. So,
Okay.
after Toby left and the rest of your party had drank a couple of rounds, you approached Aldous Hand, a burly middle-aged man polishing a tankard. He was covered in tattoos, including one on his neck that resembled the sign hanging out in front of the inn, a solitary star with a cyclopean eye. You asked about Ragnar, and he told you that he remembered someone like that passing through. And he suggested that you speak with an elf named Mari, and that they might be able to tell you more. Aldous mentioned he can get word to them that you want to meet, but he suspects that they'll want to be paid for their time. Okay? So, with that, we're going to open with Wallace descending the stairs, much like you told me you were going to be coming down to the bar, right? Descending the stairs of the Leering Star. Mari is sitting at the corner in a table, and you know it's Mari because Aldous had described them to you the night before. Now Mari's sitting there, and they're smoking this golden pipe. They have this red hair that's pulled back in braids. You can't quite see it, but when you get closer, you'll know that they have these vibrant green eyes. And they're just kind of like beautifully androgynous. You're not, it's kind of an elvish person, and you're not really sure, man, woman, whatever it is that you're looking at, or whoever it is that you're looking at. But they're wearing these robes, and within the robes, and it's kind of like another vibrant kind of emerald green, and within the robes there are kind of like beads and feathers and things like that kind of woven in there, along with a couple of like semi-precious stones and things like that. So, you see Mari in the corner of the tavern. What would you like to do?
I would like to approach Mari.
Okay.
So he's sat at a table.
They're sitting at a table, yes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Again, a pipe.
I'm gonna just drag a chair out and sit down, and I'm gonna be like, right, let's get to it.
All right. I heard you'd like to speak with me, possibly.
I hear that you're wanting gold for your time. It's doable, but how much you're asking for this is vital information I require, and I'm happy to spend a bit of gold on it.
Well, if I do understand things correctly from all this, I think I could give you a little bit of information, so I'd say it's worth a little bit. How generous a person are you?
5 silver.
They look a little disappointed. Well, you have my attention at least.
So after seeing them, their disappointment, I'll look back up. How does 10 gold sound?
Well, I do appreciate someone paying me for my time. It sounds a bit excessive. So, how about we do this? Did you put any gold out or anything like that?
Yeah, I would have tossed out, slammed 10 gold on the table. Wallace at this point would seem a bit agitated, and that was probably down to his hangover and
All right.
just the whole sort of reason for this.
All right. So you put out the 10 gold onto the table, and they just take 2 fingers and kind of like 2 slender fingers and just reach across the table and finger 2 gold coins and slide them back. Take them from the table and pocket them.
Okay, Doc, I'll scoop up the rest of my cash and put it back in my...
Alright. So, tell me what you're interested in.
This better be good. Well, a few things. I want to know how you know Ragnar. I want to know where you last saw him, what he was doing, who he was with.
I can tell you that I do not know Ragnar very well, but I was in his company, as that is my business. I enjoy being paid for my time, and he did pay me well.
And what business would that be?
Companionship.
Alright. And did he speak of, if anything, his plans, his motivations, where he was going?
I can tell you that he told me he was traveling east, that he was looking for something, though I don't quite remember what exactly. I could tell you that he told me he was traveling to the end of the world.
Sounds like him alright.
Right.
Was anybody else with him?
Yes, he was traveling with 2 others.
Did you get any names? What they looked like?
Of the others traveling with Ragnar, I did not. I could tell you that one was a large fellow. I'd peg him for orcish or half orcish.
Aye.
And the other was a gnomish female.
This gnomish female. Colour was her hair?
It was auburn.
Alright. And how long ago was this that you saw Ragnar? And how long were you with him?
I only spent a few days with him. He came through town. This was about a month ago, I'd say.
Alright. Interesting. Right. These people he was with, they seem hired to you, or did they seem to be good friends? It's important that I know this.
I can tell you that while he was here, they did not spend very much time together. Most of his time was in my company while they were here, though he did have moments where he stole away to himself. I can tell you the impression that he left me was, again, he paid well. I did find him a bit on the eerie or creepy side. He always, this black makeup just smeared down his face. Just, I didn't quite understand what that was about, or even if it was makeup. And his tastes were a bit peculiar, but other than that, I couldn't tell you much of the relationship between him and the others.
Alright.
If I had to guess,
well,
I'd say that they were in his employ.
Okay. In the end of the world.
Now, Lewis,
He says he's going there.
If you'll give me a history check real quick.
Okay, that's fine. 7.
7? Okay, go ahead and ask what you were going to ask about the end of the world.
I was going to ask him what the end of the world is, if he knows what that would be.
Alright.
Or she, sorry.
They. But,
They.
Yeah. They do tell you. I can't quite tell you the meaning, what exactly he meant, but I do know across the maw, from Black Sands, is World's End. It's quite possible, since he's traveling east, he could be destined for World's End.
Referring to that. I was... It makes sense now. Well, that is good to know. I have thank you for your time.
I hope it was.
And I'm gonna just nod and toss her another gold coin for the information that they've given me.
All right, they'll smile. Thank you. And
Good day.
all right. So we'll pause on you right there. Okay.
Okay, look.
Now, Shondell, I know that you reside here in Mournton, but I'm not sure exactly where you live, or why don't you take a moment to tell us kind of what Junie's living arrangements are like, or what you imagine them to be like.
I would say probably more like closer to the edge of town, like more kind of like in a not secluded or isolated, but like a lesser populated area of town. She definitely invested in some land, but it's not a whole bunch of land. Being like a wood elf, she likes to have trees in her garden and stuff like that. So she's gonna have a little bit of land, and just like a tiny little house that she lives in, just kind of like closer to the edge of town. But I'm gonna say that she's known Toby long enough that Toby will definitely know where she lives.
Okay. All right. Good. So, we'll say you find yourself in your home on this tiny little bit of land with your, in the spring it would be a garden, but outside right now, as we've mentioned before, it's cold and bleak and not much is growing here right now. So, you're probably inside and have a fire going. Now, last night, you had tied a proper one on. You're probably suffering from a bit of a hangover this morning, as you've previously mentioned, just kind of trying to forget some of the things that you've seen, thinking about those. And as you're doing that, you're kind of remembering one of your reasons for wanting to come to Mournton in the first place, to learn a little bit more about the town. And you haven't really properly had the time to follow up on that. But as you're kind of like sitting there thinking that, you look over to a table and you see kind of haphazardly this book that you picked up from Toby last night. And you vaguely remember kind of drunkenly harassing Toby about wanting to take that as Toby was trying to sleep. So, would you like to do anything in particular?
Okay, so Junie somehow managed to peel herself out of her bed. And she's going to put on a very strong, she's going to start brewing a very strong tea, we'll say. And as she's just kind of waiting for the water to start to boil, I'll say that she kind of looks over, tries to remember where the hell this book came from, goes over to it and picks it up and starts flipping through the pages.
Okay. All right. So, if you will, please give me an investigation roll.
Okay.
So, D20 plus whatever intelligence or investigation.
14.
14. All right. Not bad. In that case, you examine the Book of Mirrors. It's not attributed to any author and bears only a title. It is old and leather-bound and well kept for being found in the bandit camp in the woods. But the pages have turned brownish yellow and it smells musty. It is a collection of fairy tales, accented by illustrations. As you study it, you come across a familiar name in a tale titled The Wind in the Darkness. It recounts the story of a young boy named Lessick, whose father had died and left him, his sister, and his mother destitute. They were driven from their hovel, but found shelter in the woods. One night, Lessick heard a voice in the darkness that beckoned him to leave his camp and promised him untold riches. His mother begged him not to go into the darkness, and he resisted for 2 nights. But on the 3rd night, he followed the voice and did not return. Months later, Lessick's mother heard a voice in the darkness and left her daughter alone at the camp. Then the young girl heard the mother scream, "No, Lessick, no!" You turn the page and wince as you feel a sharp pain across your finger. You drop the book and see blood drip from your fingertip. Take 1 hit point of damage.
Okay.
This is significantly more blood than you've ever seen from a paper cut before, and you're accustomed to paper cuts.
Her mess more of black book stuff.
You pick up the book, and the edges are now stained in what appears to be dried blood, though you were only bleeding a moment ago. You return to the page that you were trying to turn to, but there is no further text of the story, only the start of another story.
Okay. Junie at this point is going to hear her tea kettle start whistling. She's gonna put the book down on the table very carefully and very confused, very almost like a sense of fear, I guess, I feel would come over Junie. So she's gonna put it down and like walk away from it, but it's always gonna be in the corner of her eye. Like she's always gonna have an eye on it.
Okay. And we'll pause with you going to get your strong tea right there. Now, when you had come down to the tavern, and you will, as you're there, observe Wallace go and speak to this elven individual that I told you about earlier. All right.
Okay.
And based on what you said, we'll assume that your character, or that you have kind of like gone over your herbalism kit and kind of try to figure out what happened and, you know, things that you might be able to do to improve next time. But also knowing where Wynn is psychologically and thinking about nature, can we assume that she might do something like want to commune with nature a little more properly to sort of reconnect with kind of like the more positive aspects of nature?
Yeah, she likely would.
Okay. So, you've been in Mournton for a short time, and you know that, you know, the village is surrounded by farmlands and stuff like that, but there are groves here and there. What might Wynn do?
Once she's sorted through her herbalism kit, she would pack it all away and she'd probably get ready to leave the tavern and go for a walk, make her way out of the village.
Okay.
Get into more of a natural area.
Okay. All right. So, having some difficulty dealing with the things that you've seen, you take your walk in nature just beyond the town, where you come across a quiet grove and a frozen pool, much like the frozen stream you had seen earlier, but without the fish that had been frozen. You take a moment to commune with the natural world, but that moment is interrupted by the shrill cry of a fox. You turn toward it to see its white fur stained crimson. Its side is pierced by a black arrow. Then you see its face. It has 3 eyes, one in the center of its forehead. It screams once more, and you start. Then it walks beyond the grove. What would you do?
I would stare after it for a few seconds before looking around and following it.
Okay. So you follow it beyond the grove. And as you do, it goes further, but then seemingly vanishes into the mist that you've grown accustomed to since being here. Is there anything else that Wynn would like to do?
She'd spend a few minutes trying to track it, see if she can find it in the mist.
Okay. Give me a survival.
Everyone has seen some weird shit.
13.
13. Okay. So you track it. And it's quite hard for you to do, or it would be quite hard for you to do if it were not for the blood that it was leaving behind. You do notice that, as far as like tracking the ground is much too hard. Tracking footprints, that is. But you are able to follow the blood, and you'll walk for a ways, and then you'll find it on its side. And it's breathing quite heavily, and blood continues to drip from its wound.
I would
Kind of making
carefully.
this animalistic noise, or this low kind of growl.
I'd slowly, cautiously approach it.
Okay.
How does it react?
Alright, again, kind of panting, breathing heavily. It is growling at your presence. Kind of this low, animalistic. You recognize this as the sound of a hurt animal. So, what you should probably do is give me an animal handling check.
Okay. 7.
7. Okay. So as you approach it, what would you do?
Kneel down close by it and then not move for a moment before slowly reaching my hand out.
Alright. And as you do that, it kind of yelps and starts and quickly snaps at your hand for 4 points of damage.
All right.
And then it gets back to his feet and doesn't take off very quickly, but begins moving as quickly as it can away from you. Alright. And we'll pause on you right there.
Okay.
Now, Eric and Sir Kay. Can we assume that you're still in your room, probably?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. So, I'm not going to reveal too much with you right now because I have some things that I would like to talk to you about off stream. But I will say this. You know the book that I'm referencing when I reference the book, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You read words from the Unchained book and think of Feli. Everyone has a choice. I've seen it. You can be more than who you are. Then you imagine him lying unconscious. You can see Wallace punching him as he's lying unconscious. And you remember turning to see him lying on the ground as your party fled. And as you do that, a piece of paper slips from within the leaves of your book. And you pick it up. And it has 3 words on it. I'm watching you. With Sir Kay.
Quick question.
Sure.
Do I recognize the handwriting at all?
You do not recognize the handwriting.
Okay.
But that's a great question. Anything else Sir Kay would do?
Do his best to remember those moments and the conversation that he and Wallace had with Feli before the ambush. And as best as he can remember, he would jot down in the book the name Feli, a date, and the words, "I'll do my best."
All right. Let's pause on you there. Toby. Or Kristen, you've mentioned how Toby is. And what he's
I am
doing.
Toby.
You've kind of
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can tell me. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he just woke up from tinkering with his watch and other things, and trying not to go to sleep until he like passed out, and then in the morning maybe just his hand like brush his little satchel on his hip and remembered that he had the gem in his pocket. So he's gonna pull that out with a cloth and try to I guess investigate it, but like more with his magical powers.
Okay. So let's do this one. Just give me kind of an arcana check.
Yeah. Terrible. 8.
8. Okay. All right. So you do what you said. You've awoken, and we'll assume maybe you're sitting at, kind of like your table and bench or something like that as you take it out of the pouch.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you remove the black stone. Again, it's, kind of like it will fit in your palm. In fact, it'll fit in my palm. It's pretty big for your hands, being the small fellow you are. And as you take it out and begin studying it, again, black stone, it's got 2 white bands across it. You feel a vibration, and then you hear kind of like a low sort of humming sound from it. And that humming sound kind of intensifies a bit. And from within the stone, you see this kind of purple light emanating from the stone. And the light intensifies and just kind of bathes your workshop in this purple glow, along with yourself. And before long, you find yourself floating alone once more in the void. A void that you've come to recognize. And you hear this familiar kind of cosmic thrum that reminds you of the stone you were just holding, but now no longer have a body to hold. And you hear a voice whispered through that thrum. And this crackle sort of begins as it's speaking. And it says, "I know where she is, Toby. I can lead you to her."
Lead me.
Give me a roll versus sanity.
Versus sanity?
Yes.
What is it? Just a straight roll, or
your sanity stat has no modifier, so you just give me a straight d20 roll.
Okay. 4.
4. Okay.
Let's do this.
Toby, let's pause with you right there, or Kristen. Let's pause with Toby.
So weird.
Yeah.
All right. Now, regardless of what your characters were all doing previously in their kind of like highlighted moment there, I'm going to assume that most of you recall drinking with Sweet Roll the night before, and knowing that Sweet Roll, or maybe you don't. Shondella saw you shaking your head.
I do.
Judy was gone. She'll do her best though. It'll be okay.
Catherine
coming
got
back
buzzed,
in glimpses.
but that's it.
Yeah. So we'll assume that maybe she doesn't remember why, but she has the vague notion that she was supposed to go back to the Leering Star at some point. Okay? So,
Okay.
regarding everyone but Toby, you will all find yourselves within the tavern of the Leering Star. Not quite at the same time. Some of you will arrive before others, and it doesn't quite matter who gets there first. But we'll assume that you all get there at some point, and Sweet Roll and Killian have not quite come down yet. Those of you who were aware enough last night will remember that you were just kind of made plans to see Killian and Sweet Roll on their way, as they were planning to leave the town, leave Mournton the next day if possible. All right. So, what we're going to do now is I'd like to have you all in the Leering Star at a table and just kind of enter a bit of role play with one another. All right.
Okay, look, at the table you'll see Wallace's backpack is like on the table, and whoever comes in can sort of see him packing some stuff into it. Just like the furs that he's got over him, like shoving them into the bag and whatnot.
Okay.
Kay would have been a bit slow to come downstairs because of that whole event happening just before. So I would think I'd come down and Wynn might not be back yet, but Wallace would already be down there.
Okay.
I would have been in the whole time.
Yeah. And so Kay comes down dressed in his armor, great sword and spear slung on the back. Looks like he's ready to travel as well, but he always looks that way, kind of. The only change is now something Wallace didn't see before because he had it tucked in a pack would be that he has actually slung the chained book from his left hip. And the book itself, it's not just like wrapped in chains, it's got like a dark brown or maybe a black leather cover, no title, and then the corners are dark iron, and the corners are what the chain's attached to and bind it closed with. So that's just kind of hanging off his left hip currently in full view now, instead of when it was in his packs previously.
Upon him sort of walking into the room, it would probably be noticed by Wallace. He'd probably like shoot a look at Sir Kay and kind of frown and go, "Been doing some reading."
Junie's gonna like practically fall into like the dining area where everybody else is, with like her hood pretty much covering her whole face, like because she's incredibly hungover and looks like garbage. She's gonna go up to the bar first and ask for water, and then she's gonna kind of spot Wallace and Sir Kay at the table and just kind of go over and just like fall into the chair and be like, what's going on?
All right. And if she does that, that'll be about the moment that Wallace, you hear him say, "You doing some reading?" And he appears to be talking to Sir Kay.
I just look over at Wallace and I say, "Someone, yes. Actually, Junie, I could use your help. Are you all right?"
I'll be fine. I need some more water. Maybe probably some food. I'll be fine. What do you need? What do you need?
So, GM, quick question. My Lay on Hands ability says I can either cure a disease or neutralize a poison affecting a creature. Could I kill a hangover?
I mean, technically, I would consider alcohol a poison for the body, so...
Yes. So I'll just reach over and, like... It's weird for Kay for a second. He's about to reach out and, like, pat her on the shoulder, and then he stops and he says, "Are you alright if I try something to see if I can clear up your hangover?"
Yes. Please do.
Alright. And he just lightly puts a hand on your shoulder, and I'll burn 5 points of my Lay on Hands and remove her hangover.
Fair.
Half my Lay on Hands for the day, but I need Junie's help, so I can't have her be hungover.
Junie just like kind of brightens up. She livens up. Her hood comes off, and she's like, "Yeah, that was. Thank you so much."
You're welcome.
And
that's
quick
it.
Question: Can we assume that Junie has maybe had a hangover before? Probably.
I'm sorry, that cut out.
I said, can we assume that possibly Junie has had a hangover before?
Yes.
Okay.
Very many.
So when Sir Kay does this lay on hands, it is amazing just how quickly you went from feeling so horribly to feeling much better. Previous hangovers that Junie has had, she's had to nurse them and they linger on for hours, of just this low-key kind of like misery, until eventually you emerge from it. But you just went from feeling horribly to just so much better.
Yeah, no, Junie's like ready to go right now. Like now she feels like she can take on the world and she's ready to conquer everything. Like she's good. She's good.
All right. We'll assume some moments after that, Wynn will arrive back at the tavern.
Yep.
So,
See, before this, can I quickly do an insight check on Sir Kay from the yes, you could say so about the reading thing?
sure, let's go ahead and do that real quick.
That's a 21.
21. All right. How do you want to handle that, Eric?
I'll say you get the feeling. You get two distinct impressions from his tone of voice and one from his body language. So from his tone of voice, you pick up that he's doesn't really want to talk about it. Like it's a bit of an uncomfortable thing for him, but more questioning discomfort. Like he doesn't really know what's going on with it. And then from the body language, you would see he's almost conflicted. Like he's trying to keep the book covered with his left arm and make people not notice it, but at the same time, he's hanging it there instead of having it tucked in a pack. So you get the feeling he doesn't often have it out.
Almost like a cry for help in a sense?
No, more like attempting to change a personal habit.
Okay.
Okay, now let's pause on you now and go back to Jess. So, Jess, this is about the time that Wen will re-enter the tavern. Now, tell us how she enters, what's going on. When you come in, you will see, or when she comes in, you will see three of your compatriots sitting at the table, Junie, Sir Kay, and Wallace. So what happens when enters?
Okay. Well, before she's returned to the inn, Wen would have bandaged her hand up from that fox. She walks in, feeling better than she had been earlier that morning. Mentally, anyway. Sees the people she spent the last few days with and heads over there. Eric, would Wen have seen that book before?
No.
Okay. Looks at the book curiously as she approaches the table and sits down, but doesn't say anything about it.
Okay, look, Wallace is gonna as you sit down sort of quietly, Wallace is gonna look at your hand. Are you like making an attempt to cover your hand, or is it like visibly unsure that you've been bitten?
Well, probably not obvious that she's been bitten, but it's bandaged.
And I would say this.
Sorry, you cut out for me a bit there.
I was just saying it might not be obvious that she was bitten necessarily, but it's obviously bandaged.
Okay.
And I was going to say this, I would imagine, given the the ferocity of the bite that Wen had sustained, that it's probably one of those things where you see the bandage, whether or not it's white or brown or whatever color your bandage is, but it's probably like a bit of blood like bleeding through it as well. So given two things. One, given Wen's passive perception, she most certainly might have noticed Sir Kay's book, and then two, given Wallace's passive perception, you most certainly noticed the bandage as she approached, and definitely that she's kind of like bleeding through it a little bit. Doesn't look like it's actively bleeding and dripping, but it's definitely bled through a bit of the bandage. So
okay, I'm going to look to Wen and be like, what's happened to your hand?
Just a little incident while I was out for a walk.
Care to share?
There was an injured fox. I tried to approach it, and it didn't like that.
Nah, I see. Well, it's good you've got that bandaged up. You don't know what the foxes around Mournton are like. Get something nasty off of them.
Like a third eye.
They can be quite nasty. You really do have to watch out. Next time, please don't go fox searching on your own.
Okay.
So, we're here to meet Sweetroll and Killian. What's your plans for after?
Right now, I'm not sure. I had been hoping, well, maybe not necessarily this village, but I had been looking to find somewhere to live out in a more natural area than Black Sands.
Yeah. What about yourselves, Sirke and Ginny?
I just want to throw something out there because I know they have wickedly high passive perception. At the word Black Sands, Wynn and Wallace would probably just catch a slight eye twitch out of Kay.
On the mention of Black Sands.
Yeah, specifically on the word Black Sands, you would just get that the little twitch, and that's about it.
Okay.
Well,
and you go, sorry.
Yeah, just to answer Wallace's question. Well, frankly, I'm a bit concerned after what we encountered out in the woods. I thought to take some time around Mournton, probably not too long, to do a bit of research into this lesser creature. Possibly inform the Knight of Willows that these things in the woods are crawling about, if they don't already know. And I actually need Junie and possibly Toby's help with something.
Yeah, sure. You help me, I'll help you.
At this point, I'll reach into the bag of holding, and I will pull out that piece of parchment that had the black runic writing. I can't remember if you described it as the writing was almost moving. I can't remember how it was described, but it was black and weird.
Yes. So the way I believe I described it to you is, it's kind of like this piece of parchment that had been rolled up, and it was kind of like this swirly, almost script-like, but you didn't recognize it as any kind of language you had ever seen before, and it was black and raised from the page somewhat.
Okay.
So there's that. About that moment, I will say that though roleplay on this has not gone on for very long, we'll assume that some of your characters have been sitting there for a while. Junie particularly, you know that Toby carries this timepiece with him, and he's very aware of time and things like that. And it's not so much that he's never late or anything like that, but given the state that he was kind of in last night and the fact that he's not here right now, it's a bit odd for you. It's a bit odd to you, is what I should say. You don't possibly know Toby super well, but you know him well enough that if he had said that he would meet here, he probably would come. So you begin to question where Toby might be, especially after Sirke says that he might need your help and Toby's help.
Okay, so all right, Junie's just gonna kind of look around and actually realize, that Toby's not there, and kind of think about approximately what time it would be compared to what time we should all actually be meeting up, and just kind of say out loud, be like, "Speaking of Toby, where is Toby? Shouldn't he be here?"
He looked knackered last night. Don't know how much he drank, but he's probably just sleeping. Do you know where he stays? We should probably go wake him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know where he is. I don't think he drank though. He passed out very fast, but he didn't drink. We should. Let's go knock on some doors. Let's go knock on his door. And she just.
He is an old gnome. You know what I mean?
Well, how about this then? Wallace and Wynn, stick around to make sure we can catch Killian and Sweetroll before they leave. because I have business with Toby as well, I'll go with Junie and we can make sure Toby's all right.
Wallace is going to laugh upon that, and he's going to look to Sir Kay and be like, "Since when did you start giving out orders, my drow friend? I have business of my own, but I'll hang by as I admire Sweet Row, but don't presume to do that again."
I just smirk and I say, "It's not an order unless you follow it."
Oh, snap.
I
just
very
gonna-
clearly smile at him and make it a clear point that I wasn't trying to give an order. It was meant to be a suggestion.
Wallace is just going to like intensely sort of stare at Sir Kay and then the rest of them, almost like a maddening stare where his eyes like widen. Actually, I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy to make the kind of his eyes go like a bit like red, like the blood vessels to kind of like bulging around his eyes, is to make him like look really angry, almost like popping out of his skull as he looks around the rest of them. And he's going to just say and speak very like in a calm, sort of precise manner, "Please hurry up. I have important matters to deal with."
And on that note, Junie is walking out of the door.
I follow Junie, but I am laughing as I go.
All right. Now, when it was suggested that you stay behind with Wallace, it was suggested that Wynn stay behind with Wallace. What does Wynn do, or how does Wynn respond?
I think she'd just shake her head as she sits there and check her bandage because her hand's rather sore.
Okay. All right.
Wallace is going to continue to pack his bag and like pick it up and put it around his shoulders, like as if he's getting ready to leave.
Okay. So, not that this has any mechanical thing for you, but please note you've unlocked the achievement "Split the Party." There you go.
Dun, 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 dun.
Make a note of that somewhere. So,
At least we didn't do it somewhere dumb like the woods.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is true. This is very true.
all right. So, Sir Kay and Junie, you leave the tavern, which empties out into the town square, as we've mentioned before, with the 3 willow trees. And Junie, you very much know where Toby lives. So, it's not as far out as yours, but it's in kind of it's in a district that has a few more things like, you know, smithies and stuff like that. He's got a shop that's near there, and you know that he just tinkers, you know, about doing various things. So you lead Sir Kay to Toby's workshop, and as you approach the outside of Toby's workshop, you hear a hum. You knock, and the door opens. Inside, you see a room bathed in eerie purple light. Toby is sitting at his workbench, just kind of like rocking back and forth, muttering something to himself that you don't understand. In front of him, on his workbench, is that black stone that you may have seen Toby pick up. But coming from the black stone is this, again, this light, this purple light that you see in the workshop is you recognize it's coming from the stone. You think the hum is probably coming from there too. And it's just kind of bathing Toby and everything else in that light. And you look around, and before you enter, as you're about to enter, something small and white just kind of drops from the ceiling. And then more. And as you're looking around, you notice that Toby's workshop is just crawling with maggots. And they're kind of like glowing this intense white under this purple light. And as you're noticing them, they just drop to the floor and they begin to kind of coalesce into this writhing pool of maggots upon Toby's workshop floor. Please roll initiative.
Damn.
Toby as well, or is he like
To-
out of it? He's in some other world.
Toby's definitely going to be out of it the first round, but I would like you to roll initiative for Toby.
Okay.
Well, there are many
Keeping
expletives I
up
want to
with
say
our
right
initiative, I
now.
think. Would you mind tracking it tonight?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
That's actually not too bad.
Okay.
I got an 8. So
Okay. I got a 15.
The maggots got a 3 minus 1. I mean, minus 2, so they've got a 1.
Okay, so have I ever told you uh-oh.
Kristen, what does Toby
Yes?
have?
Oh, I got 14.
14.
Okay, so cool. So I'm up first, and I see. So they've like swarmed into a singular mass, right? And it's noticeable. Well, what do I got? What did I pick? I'm gonna pull the great sword and cast Shield of Faith on myself. So my AC right now is an 18 as long as the spell stays up. And I'm just gonna rush in and see how many of them I can squish with the flat of the blade
Okay.
in one go. Because I'm afraid they're going after Toby in a second here.
Okay.
Ooh, that is a 10.
That's a 10? Okay. All right. Well, you take the flat of your blade, and you still manage to squish some of the mass. So give me some damage.
Oh. Okay. Alrighty, so that's, I believe it's 2. Yeah, 2d6 plus 2. I rolled a 1, but I have the great weapon fighting style, so I get to re-roll a 1 or a 2. Okay, so that's 4. That's 10 points of damage total.
Okay. I think Junie is next. Is that correct?
It is actually Toby with a 14.
Okay. So
But if
Toby,
he's
what I want you to do,
I thought I was going, like, I'm out for a round.
you are, but I do want you to give me a save this round.
Oh.
So you're gonna give me another sanity check.
Do I add or subtract anything to it?
Just roll the straight d20 and tell me what you got.
3. 13.
13. Okay. All right. Now, Junie.
okay, I'm gonna go in with my hand axes. I have 2 of them, and I'm just gonna start swinging.
Okay. That's right.
Oh gosh, my workshop.
it's not the workshop, just the floor.
Yeah, just the floor.
Oh.
It'll be okay.
But there's like stuff everywhere.
Okay, it's 11.
Okay. Give me damage.
It's this one. Okay. 7.
7. Okay. All right. And you said you're using 2 axes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So go again.
It's 13.
13. Give me damage.
It'll be 9.
Damn.
All right. So the 2 of you enter, and you begin. You see this writhing mass on the floor that's coalesced in front of you, and you're certain that it's something sinister. So you charge into the workshop. Sergei, you pull your shield and sword and cast Shield of Faith, and you just swat at the mass, and several of these maggots just kind of like explode on impact. And I'm sure some of you catch a splash across the face of just, this disgusting maggot juice. So, Judy, you come in and it's more of the same, but as you're striking with your axes, you're just kind of like cleaving into Toby's floor. Wood splintering in a couple of places, on the floor. So.
There goes my deposit.
I may have just chuckle snorted.
Oh, jeez.
All right, Judy. I have your AC as 12. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Okay. This mass just kind of like oozes towards you on the floor, and it begins wrapping itself around your boots, and it begins kind of like climbing up your boots onto your leg. But nothing happens that you notice. You don't feel pain or anything like that, but you're now kind of like standing in a bit of this writhing, massive puddle. That's it. Back up to the top of the round.
How close am I to the purple stone?
I mean, it's across the workshop from where you are right now. So.
Okay,
I'd say Toby is probably within about 15 feet of you.
Sorry, you cut out on the distance?
I'd say about 15 feet.
Okay, so would you allow me to hit the maggots and then walk over and as a bonus action just knock the stone away from Toby?
I would say you probably do that, sure.
Alright, cool. So I'm going to take a swipe away from Junie's ankle. I'm more just trying to like startle them off of her. So I'm not aiming for her. I'm aiming for a bit farther down in the swarm.
Okay.
Judy's becoming hysterical. She's standing there saying, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" Making a scene, essentially.
That's another 10. I keep rolling 6s.
It's still a strike.
Thankfully. Rolled the 2, so re-rolling on the damage. That's 5. I have to read Great Weapon Fighting for a second, because I don't know if I get to re-roll any 1s or 2s, or just 1. Can re-roll a 1 or 2 on damage dice. So, second one is... So that's 8 points of damage.
All right. Then, so you take, the flag blade once more, and you just kind of like smash at it once more, just splat. It still appears to be writhing around Junie and climbing up her legs still. But from there, you rush over, as you said, and you just kind of like by Toby's bench and just take your sword and like swat the stone across the room from there. All right. Now, Toby, you were floating in this inky void, and the voice had only spoken to you once, and you had called to the voice, "Show me where she is," and you were repeating that, but it never answered you. And then all of a sudden you find yourself out of the void, back in your workshop, and Sir Kay, you recognize, is in front of you. And he's got his sword, and he's taken the stone and just kind of like launched it across your workshop off the table. And as you look around, surprised, stunned, not only is Sir Kay here, but Junie is here as well. And she's kind of like standing in this puddle, this writhing mass of something. There's still a purple light in your workshop, and again, this writhing mass just kind of like seems to glow bright white in this light. You can't quite tell what it is, but she is certainly not having a good go with this, and she's panicking a bit. So,
wake up, you dirty old gnome!
Do you hit me?
No, I don't hit you. That was the sound of me whacking the stone across the roof.
Oh, all like,
I thought it was like
Junie's-
a backhand or something.
Yeah.
it,
like a
it probably
backhand, wake
looks
up.
like I'm about to swing for Toby, and then I go for the stone and just like baseball swat it off the table.
what are you guys doing to my workshop? You
Judy's
crazy
just,
kooks.
she's just standing there shrieking, like practically screaming, help me, over like wherever she's standing there. She's just freaking out. She's becoming more and more hysterical as time goes on.
Toby's just gonna take his mage hand and try to like smack some of the maggots away from Junie.
All right.
And he is going to run to catch the stone.
Okay. All right. So, give me like a strike with your mage hand.
I don't know what my mage hand strike is. It would just be like melee or.
Let's. I mean, you're not really doing an attack. This is more for flavor than anything else. So, just in this one instance, let's say you get your spell attack bonus versus it. I mean, with it.
I get my what? Sorry, it was
I said
cutting out.
in this brief moment,
Yeah.
and it may change. Let's say that you get your spell attack bonus to modify your d20 on this strike.
Oh, okay. Not good. 7.
7. Okay. All right. Is your mage hand visible or is it an invisible thing? How is your mage hand?
I don't think it's visible.
It's not visible. Okay. All right.
Nah.
So you do that. It doesn't appear to have very much of an effect to it. You just kind of like swat around the general area. Nothing seems to happen. And then what did you say you do with the stone?
He's gonna run after it.
Okay. All right. So you will use your movement to do that. He kind of launched it. So your workshop is not huge. So he took his sword and slung it across the room. It probably hit the wall and then fell onto the floor. And
Yeah, it's super messy. So he's gonna look for it.
okay. All right. So you're gonna be doing that now. Shondell, it's Junie's turn again.
Okay, and these things are still crawling on my feet.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Can I just like start flailing and kicking, trying to kick them off?
You can. You can do that.
I really
Let's see.
don't know what else to do.
How about you give me an athletics check?
16.
16. Okay. You begin kind of like flailing about, kicking your legs and stuff like that, and maggots are just being slung here and there throughout the workshop. So it's kind of like the puddle is discorporating or becoming. It's breaking apart, is what I'm trying to say. And you manage to get a majority of the mass off your body as you're doing that. Just kind of
Junie's happy.
Yeah, I imagine Junie is just spasmodically, just flailing about, and trying to get them off, possibly screaming. All right, so that happens. Now we're back up to the top of the rounds. Okay.
Seeing that Junie's doing okay, I'd like to race Toby to the stone.
All right. Toby is already there. Toby is on the ground, kind of like searching through, I don't know, what would it be? Parts, papers, things like that?
Tools, gears,
Okay.
papers.
All right.
Okay. So I'm gonna like run over there to where Toby is, just looking for that light. If I can see the stone, I'm gonna take the bag of holding and wrap it over the stone and close it.
Okay. All right. You won't have much of a problem finding it, Oh, well, actually, let's try this. Give me a quick investigation check as you're trying to determine where it is.
No. Oh, that's another 6.
Another 6.
It's 3 in a row off this
Okay.
dice.
All right. You're trying to figure out where it is, but you can't really tell.
If I can't see it through the mess, I'm just gonna look at Toby and say, "When you find it, toss it in here." And like I have the bag open, ready for it.
Okay. All right, Kristen, give me an investigation. If you're trying to find it, give me an investigation check for Toby.
Oh, 7.
Okay. All right. Both of you are
One
looking
more.
around for it and failing to find it. John,
I guess I'll just kind of follow suit now that like all the maggots or whatever are off of me, and they're kind of more spread out and whatnot. I'm gonna follow suit. I'm gonna go over to where they're looking for the stone and try to also find it.
Okay. Investigation.
It's 13.
13. Okay, you see that it's kind of gone under a shelf, and you can tell that the light is sort of pouring out from under the shelf that it had kind of gotten thrown under. So, what does Junie do?
She's gonna yell out that it's underneath the shelving unit and ask either Toby or Sir Kay or both of them to help me move it to try to grab it.
Okay, you can tell it's kind of like a raised shelf off the ground. They've been kind of like looking for it, and that's kind of how they've spent their action this round. You know that you have enough movement. You could go under there, reach under there, and grab it if you wanted to.
All right, then that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna chuck it in, or try to chuck it into the bag of holding as I grab it.
Okay.
Thank you, Junie.
So, you won't quite have enough to accomplish that this round, but you do have it within your grasp. Okay?
Okay,
So,
that sounds bad. Okay.
as you do that, from where that writhing puddle had kind of been slung here and there, you see that it's kind of like recoalescing into this more puddle form again. All its parts are coming back together, and then we're back up to the top of the round.
Okay, that's me. If I see her standing there with it, I'm running over and like just putting the open bag of holding over her entire hand.
Okay.
Basically.
All right.
Until she can like actually let it go and I can close the bag and see if that cuts off whatever the hell's going on.
Okay. All right. So, the moment you do that, the light shuts off, and the mass ceases glowing like it had. And then it begins to kind of discorporate, and you can kind of tell that, these maggots are falling, between the spaces and the floorboards of the workshop and things like that. And some of it is just kind of like disintegrating into this oozy ichorous substance. Let's fall on you right there. Lewis, Jess,
Yes.
what's up?
So,
Though she doesn't know it, Wynn is very glad she stayed at the inn.
Wallace is kind of pacing around the tavern at the moment. Sort of, I would assume that they'd have been away for quite a while now. How long would you say would have passed since?
Even though that took a while, and sorry you guys had to wait for that. In reality, given that you know that it was across town, it doesn't seem like very long. You would expect them possibly to be on their way back by now. In terms of the combat, that was very brief.
Yeah.
Something like 18, 24 seconds. I can't remember exactly how long we went on.
Okay.
But,
it's like Wallace and Wynn are like playing darts. And then we're trying to like get this down.
After pacing around, I'm going to come back and I'm going to just like slam my fist into the table that Wynn's at. And I'm going to look at her and I'm going to say, "You say you found the draw on the road?"
Sorry, What did he say?
I'm going to say sorry. I'm not going to say sorry. I'm going to say you said you found the drow on the road.
You found the drow on the road? He's
Yeah.
referencing
Yeah.
Sir Kay.
I did. Why?
And just want to know how well you know him, if you trust him. Did you notice that book?
I noticed it today. I've never seen it before, though.
That was my next question. Okay. And you travelling with him, these pals, like, what's the script? What's going on?
He was injured. I healed him, and we continued traveling together.
Alright. Look, Gwen, I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all these crazy people that we've met, I think that you're the nicest out of all of them. You're quite quiet and you seem quite genuine. Now, do not take that for favouritism, because I don't really like many people, but I need you to do something really important for me. And this isn't an order, as you would call, but rather a favour, as I see you as a friend, and friends do things for each other, don't they?
They do. What do you want me to do?
I would pay you in gold, or I don't know, I'd get you a rabbit or something if you want to be closer to nature. I need you to come with me tonight.
Where? For what?
We need to go and talk to the Knight of the Willows. Since we've seen the things in the forest, I have had this horrible gut instinct. Now, the reason I'm here at Mournton is something completely different, but since seeing them, and I cannot put it out of my mind. And she needs to know about what's been going on here, and I will not be able to rest until I get this done. Once we have been to see her, I want to go back into the woods. That wee stone that the gnome's got is very interesting to me, and I want it, and I'm going to take it. But didn't tell Toby I said that, right? I want to find out how this is all fitting and connecting, because it's haunting my nights, and it's disturbing. You seem a very capable warrior and a healer, and a valuable ally.
Well, whatever's out there definitely doesn't seem right. I've never even heard or thought things like that were possible.
Neither did I. It was pretty mental, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And as
Okay.
you say that, from outside the leering star, you would guess somewhere in the town square, you hear the screams of a woman.
I'm just gonna be like, oh, for fuck's sake, let's go.
Okay.
I'm gonna just walk out.
Alright. As you walk out, the first thing you notice is in the center of the square, a woman on horseback. Appears to be a bit of a warrior or a hunter, you can't quite tell. Has brown hair pulled back, braided down her back, wearing what appears to be leather armor from where you are, has a bow kind of like strung across her. There's a figure cloaked in black that is like pulling her down from her horse. And as you observe this, you observe the other side of the square, and you see what appears to be one of the town's guard walking the opposite direction and turning around the building as this woman is being dragged from her horse.
I'm gonna shout over to that guard and be like, "How you?" And I'm gonna cast command on him, and I'm going to tell him to approach.
What's your spell DC?
It is a 13.
Natural 19. Alright, so it disappears behind a building.
I'm just keep like, I'm going to run towards that bird, the lassie that's being dragged off the horse, and I'm just going to grab the person that was trying to pull her down. I'm going to be like, how are you? I'm going to attempt to headbutt him in the chest.
Okay, alright. So, give me an initiative roll. Eric, would you track this as well, please?
Yep.
20.
Wynn's gonna rush over as well.
Alright, what's your initiative?
8.
Alright.
What did the
The cloaked figure has a 19.
okay?
So I'm top of the round.
So yeah, I think you're top of the round. It's next. What did you have, Jess?
An 8?
An 8. Okay, so it would be then you, and then if the person, the woman on the ground has a 7. So you approach, and you'll be able to make your way over there. What do you do?
So I'm going to kind of turn him round. Do I see anything before I go to stick the nut on him?
Given what you know about Mournton in the daytime, it is very, it feels very kind of abandoned and calm and quiet right now.
Okay. I mean, like the person's face, because you said there was a hooded figure.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Cloaked,
That's okay.
pulled up, and then there is like something pulled across the face. You know, you can see the eyes. You know, almost kind of like.
Right, this guy's getting it. I'm gonna just attempt to headbutt him right as high as I can.
All right. Okay, give me a roll.
Crazy.
Oh, that's a 4.
4. Okay.
We are cursed tonight.
Yeah. You attempt to do that, but this is quite a nimble and agile person that you're trying to get your hands on, and they just sort of masterfully, you know, just kind of like pivot away from you, you know, and then seem focused on you, you know. They've taken their mind off the task at hand.
I'm gonna blow a kiss to them.
Now,
That was a lot of dice.
alright, you take 11 points of damage as they've got a couple
12.
They've got a short sword and a dagger, and the short sword slashes, or actually it's piercing, so it pierces you kind of like right under the ribs, and then they try to like slash for your throat with the dagger, but miss.
Okay.
Alright. Win.
All right. Wynn is going to cast Thorn Whip.
Alright.
My G, kill him.
8.
So tell me what your Thorn Whip looks like. Can you describe that for us? What happens exactly?
Wynn makes a movement as if she's using a whip, striking out at the figure, but her hand's empty, and from the ground sprouts a green vine with pointy brown thorns on it to lash out at him.
Okay, all right. So this Thorn Whip, you know, kind of like lashes out at the figure, but once again, just like with Wallace, you know, kind of like lash out at it, and it just kind of like, you know, pivots back and angles over, and just kind of like does a quick roll, and you completely miss, you know, and it just kind of like, you know, hits at the cold ground. The woman who is on the ground.
Didn't they tell me she's with him? He's gonna attack me.
No. She's kind of pinned by her horse right now, and she's trying to get out from under it. As he pulled her over, it toppled with her. and she's having a bit of a problem. Her leg seems to be trapped under the horse at the moment. The horse is also trying to get up as well, you know. So there's that. Back up to the top of the round.
Right, question. See my prepared spells. Can I cast the same spell more than once?
Sure.
Yep. As long as you have
Okay,
a spell slot for it.
I am going to cast command on the person and tell them to strip and remove all their weapons.
Okay.
I mean, disarm is one of the commands, I think.
Yeah.
Please. Natural 20.
Oh, no. They
Command's
do
a save.
They do a save.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, I wish it was an attack roll.
So, all right. So it's a one-word phrase, correct? And you.
And they follow it until either the start or the end of their next turn.
Okay.
Did they fail the save?
All right. Yes, they failed the save. So, on this turn, it's kind of like it's got this cloak on, and it begins, like messing around with this, that's fastening the cloak together, and it just, it doffs the cloak. Its face is still covered, but it does take that off, and then it begins removing kind of like this girdle that was like under the cloak, kind of going around the waist or whatever, that held a couple of other weapons and it looks like daggers and things like that, and that drops to the ground as well, and that's about all it could do in this round. Now, it has to do that on its action. It can still follow movement and things like that, correct?
Hold on just a second. I had the spell called up.
If we pull that up real quick, because I don't want it to do something it can't do.
I got it. The target must succeed on a wisdom save or follow the command on its next turn. The spell has no effect if the target's undead, if it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful. Yeah, that's it. It just says it follows the command.
Okay, which it's done. So should that mean it should still be able to take movement as well?
I would think so.
Okay, all right. As it is standing in front of you, involuntarily doing this thing that it very much does not want to be doing, you see its eyes grow, wide, and you see a bit of fear in those eyes, and then it begins to run.
Okay, good.
All right, now.
How far away from me does it get?
It gets about 40 feet away from you.
Okay. Things are rapid.
Yes, it is. Now, Wynn. Or Jess, what does Wynn do?
Well, as she sees the figure start disrobing, her eyes are gonna widen in surprise and shock.
I'm not letting Wallace babysit Wynn anymore. It's a terrible influence.
But as she sees it running away, she will cast Entangle.
Okay.
Dang.
Druid's for saving throw. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. What is
Strength saving throw.
What's your DC on that?
My DC is a 12.
So that's going to be 12 Dex saving throw, correct?
It says Strength, actually.
Okay. All right. Okay. Natural 14. So plus.
Okay.
All right. Does it do anything if it fails?
Difficult terrain, so in a 20-foot square.
20-foot square,
movement is half.
difficult terrain, but that's it.
Okay. All right. I will keep that in mind. The woman on the ground.
Oh, yeah. The whole reason we're in a fight.
The horse will get up, and she'll, kind of like manage to get herself up from her position, her prone position on the ground, and then she'll pull out her bow and an arrow from a quiver on her side and knock it and release it at her attacker, but she misses.
Okay. So, see this stuff that the person took off when they stripped, like what is on the floor, what can I grab? And indecent.
Okay, so this, what's on the floor right now is a cloak, that had this, kind of like clasp, metal clasp on it. And then also there's kind of like this girdle belt kind of thing that they were wearing, sort of really wide. And looking at it on the ground, you can tell that it has like daggers stuffed into it and things like that. You're not sure what all is in there, but you can tell that there are items kind of like within the folds of the fabric on it.
Can I make like a check to see if there's anything magic about them?
You wouldn't know that unless you're doing a detect magic or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn round to the woman that was trapped underneath her horse and go, "You alright, hen?"
Say that one more time. You're gonna turn around.
I'm going to say, "Are you alright, hen?"
I think so. And she looks quite shocked, but also determined, with her quiver and arrow as well, as she just released an arrow. So you engage with her for a bit. Now it continues to try to run through this. What was it again? What was the spell once more?
It's
entangle.
Right.
So it's difficult terrain.
All right. So it runs through there. You can tell that you haven't stopped it, but you did slow it down. Right. And then essentially what happens is you just kind of like see this plume of smoke around the area where it was, just kind of like this purplish gray smoke, it just quickly kind of like explodes in the area, and then you can't quite see anything within the smoke at all.
Can I speak when it's not my turn?
Say it again.
Can Wallace speak when it's not his turn, but not do anything?
Well, you're currently involved with. You could. I would allow that, but you're currently involved. Like your attention has been with the person who was on the ground. You were kind of talking to her. Wynn is mostly seeing that at the moment, and you'd kind of like looked at the stuff on the ground as well. So we're gonna pause on that and say no for right now because Wynn is very much observing this at the moment. So cool. It is her turn. So Wynn, how do you react to that?
Wynn will, seeing that Wallace is taking care of the woman that was under the horse, Wynn will run toward where the other figure had gone to. And
now I do have a question. Can
yes.
you be affected by your own spell?
It doesn't say she can't. So it's up to whether or not Wynn would know enough to avoid the area.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's give you a wisdom check on that. So
okay.
Just straight wisdom. D20 plus whatever your wisdom modifier is.
4.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh god.
So you rush into this plume of purplish gray kind of smoke, and then you find yourself within all of these thorns and stuff on the ground that you had cast moments before. Now, give me a strength check.
4.
Mate, have we got a dice jail? Because I think everybody's needing one tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm moving on to my third D20.
So these thorns that you had cast begin, kind of like ensnaring you, wrapping around your legs, things like that. So back up to the top of the round.
But as they're ensnaring me, do I see the figure anywhere.
Give me a perception check.
Sorry, give you a...
Perception check.
Okay.
I forgot, so
17.
17. You don't see it.
Okay.
You're just kind of like within this cloud of smoke at the moment. But what you do know is that you're ensnared within your own spell. I'm assuming you can cancel it at any point you want
Yeah.
to.
I dropped concentration.
Okay. All right. Now, we're going to kind of like end combat right there, unless anyone has something remarkable that they can do that I don't know about.
I just want to burn that person's clothes.
Burn them?
Yeah. So that they're stranded somewhere in Mournton naked and they can't get their armor back.
I love Wallace so much.
Now, just to let you know, there were still clothes on under there. They hadn't quite taken everything off just yet. Oh, actually,
Sorry, you cut it a bit for me there.
I said that they hadn't had an opportunity to remove everything, and that only lasts for one round. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, partially naked. They've still,
Yeah.
still.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause right here if everyone's okay with it, and we're going to go ahead and take about a.
That's good because I gotta feed the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll pause.
This
here.
got a little bit crazy.
We'll take about a 10-minute.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So we're back from break, and we had left off in the square of the town of Mournton with Wallace and Wynn and someone that they don't know, whom they quite possibly just rescued from an unknown assailant. Now, the smoke is clearing. What do you wish to do?
I'm gonna look at this girl and I'm gonna be like, right, what's the crack?
Alright, now, first, it is very much a woman. And, again, she's kind of lean, but muscular at the same time. Brown hair pulled back in a brace. She is wearing leathers, much like you suspected her. She has bracers on her arms, and she currently has her longbow out, and she has quiver at her side. And you just kind of basically ask her what the deal, like what was going on.
Yeah.
All right.
As he's doing that, Wynn will make her way back over.
Okay. You do that and she'll look at both of you. I'm not certain. The town was empty, and I was attacked without cause, and I did not see them coming. They began pulling me from my horse, and I screamed, and then luckily you and your friend came out and startled them away. I owe you many thanks.
No bother.
She's, her horse is kind of up, and she's sort of like seeing to it as she's speaking to you as well, kind of like dusting it off. It appears to be quite a fine horse as well.
Okay. Do I reckon that? Like, no, I don't think so. Okay. I'm gonna say, forgive me, but my name is Wallace, and I was just wondering. I noticed that one of the guards looked away. I don't know if you're from Mournton or who you are. Sorry, I'm pretty new here. Are you from here? Do the guards often do that?
You said you saw a guard look away?
Aye, you were getting dragged down from your horse, and one of the guards was walking away.
Yes, I am from Mournton. I am Emily Mournton.
Sorry, that cut out. What's the name?
She says, I am from Mournton. I am Emily Mournton. And she'll, look at you and she'll, make another remark. I am the lady's lady.
Oh, shit.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm Wallace. I'm from Ironholm. I'm nobody's lady, but I'm nobody's guy either. I'm just Wallace.
Right.
This is my companion, Wynn.
All right. She will kind of bow, just very slightly, to both of you. Well, Wallace and Wynn, I thank you very much. I don't know what I would have done if you had not been here. And I am quite alarmed that you say you saw a guard leave. Did you happen
Did
to...
they
Do you know who it was?
No, I'm sorry, my lady. I'm pretty new here, so is my companion.
All right. Well, again, Wallace and Wynne, I do owe you many thanks. And if you will, I must leave and get back within the manor. I'm not sure what's going on here.
See, before you go to the manor, I need to talk to you about something.
Alright, she'll kind of raise an eyebrow and... What?
We should probably do it in private. You fancy a pint?
Under the circumstances, I probably shouldn't. Give me a persuasion... Or, no, how do you want to tackle this? I should ask. Because she's going to
I want to persuade her. Yeah, I want to persuade her. I'll be like, come on.
Alright. Give me a persuasion roll then.
Natural 1.
Alright. She'll look at you kind of oddly, but you can tell she's still grateful and she doesn't want to offend you, really. Wallace, I just can't now. I've been attacked, and you tell me that one of my own guard has betrayed me. But you tell me this, I don't recognize you. Are you staying in town? Or are you just passing through?
To be honest, I'm just passing through. I might have to stay for a wee bit, kind of why I want to talk to you.
Alright, well tell me where you're staying. Are you at the Leering Star?
Aye.
Alright. If you're here, by tomorrow no later, I can promise you that once I know that I'm safe, and once that I know the lady's safe, that I will come find you.
Sound.
Right.
Well,
And then she
catch you later.
kind of like leaps up onto her horse and she looks at both of you and nods. And again, thank you, Wallace and Wynne. I will not forget you. And I will come find you tomorrow, Wallace. At the latest.
Wallace just asked the second most powerful woman in town on a date.
It wasn't like to be on a date. It was like just to...
The way you worded it. The way you worded it.
I think that
Natural one,
Wallace probably wouldn't have realised that. Yeah, natural one, it probably would have came... Didn't mean it to like come off like that.
Yeah. Alright. So she does leave you there, and you see her kind of like speed, past the willows across the square, heading towards the direction. I mean, you can see Mournton Manor from where you are right now, so you know that she's very much heading that direction. All right.
I'm gonna look to Win, and I'm gonna be like, "That was what just actually happened. Did you see that guard?"
Possibly.
Quite likely Wynne did. You have a fairly good perception
Yeah.
as well.
I did. What is going on in this place?
I don't know, but the longer I stay here, the more obliged I feel to help, and it's really annoying because I don't like a lot of people here. We should probably tell the others.
Yeah.
She's pretty important. I mean, if we can get word to her, we just saved this proper, powerful woman's life, and if we can get her to meet us, then all of us together can put something forward to her and maybe, I don't know, find out what is actually going on, because it's starting to proper mess with my head, and you just get to see Wallace kind of frantically putting his hair back and like tightly gripping the braids in the ponytail, and his eyes are again kind of like almost crazed.
Okay. Do you know
Do
where
you
Toby
agree
lives?
with me, Win? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
do you know where Toby lives?
No, I don't. The best thing we could do is maybe try to find Sweet Row, maybe talk to him or Killian. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back, and Wallace is going to put his hand out to like take his hand.
Okay.
Did she take his hand?
Yeah, she'll take his hand.
Okay, he's gonna kind of like when your mum gives you into trouble and she's like dragging you, and like just sort of like drags you across like into the.
Oh,
All right. Wynn, is there any resistance there at all, or do you?
She'll walk with him.
Okay, and then the two of you head back towards the Leering Star. Then,
Yeah.
I suppose. Okay, let's pause on you there. Now, back to Sir Kay and Junie.
Getting another D20.
What's going on in the aftermath of this sort of riding mass kind of dispersing and turning diaper?
I just take the bag with the stone still inside it, close it up, throw it over her shoulder, and look over, like, kind of split my attention between Junie and Toby and just say, "Alright, I've asked this question before. I'm not going to bother asking it again. You're both not doing well right now.
What are you talking about?
You were blabbering on like an idiot rocking in the corner when we walked in, and you just panicked over maggots.
They're gross.
You
Fair.
have no idea where I was.
Where were you?
You were sitting in a chair rocking back and forth like a crazed old man is where you were.
Yeah, so if you were somewhere else, maybe you should tell us.
Well, I was in a dark place. I mean, I don't know exactly the location, but I was somewhere else.
As in a vision.
That doesn't sound good. That does not sound good.
Why not?
I'm just gonna walk over to Toby and like put my hands on either side of his face to see if in some way, like if he is concussed, if his pupils are different sizes, like just kind of tilting his head back and forth to see if he has some like damage to him.
He smacks you away. Get off of me!
Maybe
What are you guys scared of the unknown? What makes it so bad?
I'm fine with the unknown. I'm not okay when it starts spawning maggots out of thin air.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
How do you know they were connected?
Because once the light from the stone stopped, so did they.
Ah.
There is a causal link there. Suggested. That said, Junie,
yeah?
I think the stone's staying in the bag for now.
I think that's a great idea. Can we maybe get out of here? I could really, really use some fresh air.
Agreed. And Toby, to make up for stealing the stone, well, for your own good.
I did not steal it.
No, I meant me taking it from you, but take that as you will.
What? I don't
to make up for making sure you don't touch the stone again. I have a bit of a puzzle for you. And I produced the the parchment with the black writing on it to see if I could distract Toby.
He takes it.
All right. So Toby, Sir Kay hands you this kind of yellowish-brown parchment. It's weathered a bit, and there are all these swirls of this. You're pretty sure it's a script of some sort, but it's nothing that you recognize really, and it is kind of like this inky raised black substance on the paper. You know, it doesn't have the properties like you would assume ink does. You know, lying flat on the paper and stuff like that. But it feels, you know, kind of firm as well. You know, it's not sticky to the touch or anything like that. But it's just raised off the surface of the paper, and it's just kind of like, you know, all over the place. You know, out of game terms, meta-wise. You know, not like Braille, but something similar, a more tactile kind of script that you're looking at right now. So, but that said, you don't recognize it. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I just like to make some kind of like history or connection with lore, or I mean, if I don't recognize it, then I don't recognize it.
Right. How do you treat the paper as you're doing that?
To investigate it,
Mm-hmm.
he would try to feel the parchment a little bit more, maybe look at some of the books that he has in his workshop to try to compare some of the writing or some of the characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as you're kind of examining the paper, give me an intelligence roll.
Cool.
Just
So
straight, like an intelligence save, I guess, but not really a save.
I was like, would this be considered Artificer's lore?
Read me. I don't. What's the text on Artificer's lore?
Whenever you make a intelligence history check related to magic items, alchemical objects, or technical devices, you can add twice your proficiency
Yes.
you
go ahead and
normally
do that.
apply.
Go ahead and do that.
Sweet.
Damn.
Da-derm. Now I gotta find what it is. Oh, wait. Well, I got a natural 20, so +6.
All right. As you, as Junie and Sir Kay see Toby handling the paper, he begins to run his hands across the surface of the paper, and you you note that his eyes kind of roll back into his head. And as your hands are going across the paper, you don't get words so much as feelings. And those feelings are hunger, insatiable hunger, ceaseless hunger, bring more.
This doesn't look good.
Hunger and longing is what you're getting from this.
Yeah.
Me.
He's probably like saying that out loud as he's like in a trance.
All right. So, Junie and Sir Kay, you hear Toby saying those things, putting it into words as best he can. Hunger, ceaseless hunger, insatiable hunger, bring more.
Well, damn.
Does he do that often?
I have never seen that. This is something very new and very scary, and we need to get that parchment paper out of his hands right now.
I'm like just gonna go and very gently remove the parchment from his hands if I can, and like just shake him gently and say, "Are you back with us?"
Huh? What?
All right.
What?
Are you good now, Toby? Are you done leaving us for the day?
I think so. Where did I go? I've been here the whole time.
Not
That time-
really.
that time-
No.
Your eyes rolled back into your head and you started muttering about hunger.
Are you hungry, Toby? Do you want to go to the Lyric Star and grab some food?
Yeah, I would like some food. Kind of hungry.
All right, let's go get you breakfast and. Gods, I think I might actually drink before noon.
I look at Sir Kay, kind of like look at the paper and be like, "What are we gonna do with this now?"
I look back at Junie and I just say, well, I was going to ask around about this. Specifically, I was going to ask if the Lady of Mournton possibly has a library we could look into about it. We have a few things to go tell her about what we saw in the woods as well, so we might as well meet back at the Star, deal with what needs to be done, and possibly go inform her of what's been going on in the woods.
I am totally in agreement. Let's go. Let's get that. Please, can we leave now? We need to leave this place.
Agreed. Also, Toby, sorry about your flaw.
Yeah, but I'll pay you back for that. I'm sorry.
This place is a mess.
All right, and as it was something that probably you hadn't noticed before, but as you're walking out, when Suke and Junie make those comments, sorry about your floor, and I'll pay you back. You notice that the floorboards of your shop have kind of been splintered in a couple of places. It's not catastrophic damage, but it is damage nonetheless. So
Can't even look at it.
I look down at
upsetting.
Toby and I just say, just shift some of your papers around. It'll cover it.
It'll be fine. We'll
Why
figure
don't
it
you
out.
cover it with your face?
I just kind of sling my, try to nudge Toby out. I'm like, it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I'm just cranky. I need some food.
okay, so cutscene. You will find yourselves back across town, back at the Leering Star. You enter the Leering Star, and I'm assuming that Wallace and Wynn will be inside at a table. Is that a correct assumption?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
See, my wounds for when I took damage, where was it they initially like cut me?
Like right under your ribs, and it was a substantial blow. So unless you've done something,
Okay.
you're not quite, bleeding out, but you're bleeding.
Wallace isn't going to do anything about it. You're actually going to see when you crack into the star, Wallace with blood all over his hands, kind of just like running it through his head.
I was going to say you wouldn't believe what happened, but I have a feeling you have a better story than us currently.
You guys were worried about me? Look at these guys.
All in favor of a pint before noon. Raise your hand.
Wallace has already got one at the table.
Wallace, are you alright? Do you need any healing? God, I ask that question a lot.
I've got some good news and I've got some bad news.
Tell us the bad news first.
That's probably best.
I'm bleeding quite a lot. The good news, I've got quite a lot of good news. You didn't happen to see a half-naked roguish person running about Mournton, did you?
No? Pretty sure I would have remembered that.
Well, basically, right, sitting in here having a wee blather with Wynn, Ken casual talk as friends do. Next thing we know, here screaming outside, and while Wallace is talking, he's still kind of going back to the wound, pulling more blood out and running it through his hair, just casually as he's telling this story, as if this was something completely normal. We heard a scream, went outside, and saw this lady getting pulled off her horse by this hooded bloke. So obviously, I'm not gonna just sit and let somebody do that. So I went up and started on him, but then he cut me, and now I'm bleeding. But that's okay because he took all his clothes off, and now we get to meet the Lady of Mournton.
Okay, I
feel like there was a detail missed there. How do you go from a naked man who stabbed you to meeting the Lady of Mournton?
Because it turns out that the lassie on the horse was the Lady of Mournton, but obviously I didn't ken that. But she says, because we saved her life, she'll meet us the morrow. So we can tell her about what we've seen. And also, before that happened, one of the guards saw her getting dragged down off her horse, and he didn't do anything to anyone, and he's again just rubbing more blood into his hair and now onto his forehead, and he's going to take a swig of his pint.
You're telling me a town guard walked away from that?
Yes.
At that point, you would just watch.
Do you have anything that Wynn would add into this?
Yeah, and as you can tell, he's kind of freaking out about it.
A little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Wynn, can you maybe simplify this situation.
You're going to hear him Wallace is going to just start going, Vietzerk, I can see you. Vietzerk.
Oh, that's not good.
So close, but so far.
I think he's lost a bit too much blood.
Yeah,
it's starting to sound like me.
Sorry, friend. This is gonna hurt. I'll walk behind him, and I will press my left hand to the wound and use, I will say, 2 points of my remaining lay on hands. And it doesn't like heal it completely. All it's gonna do is like it basically cauterizes the wound and stops him from bleeding out.
All right. So Wallace, you feel a kind of searing pain at your side, as if I remember correctly, Sir Kay's skin goes to this kind of like borealis effect. As you're doing that, is that correct? Yeah. So his skin, takes on this, kind of like greenish, shimmer under the drow tone of his skin. And then you feel this searing pain. You almost smell kind of like, searing flesh as well as it happens. It stings like the dickens, but you stop bleeding.
As he puts his hand on where the wound is, I'm going to hold his hand and be like...
I just pull my hand back slowly and just say, sorry, but you're not pretty enough for me to go any farther.
Have a pint and we'll talk.
A whole lot of crazy. It's just way too much crazy.
So, Junie, Toby, do you guys have anything, or do y'all have anything that you want to weigh in?
I'd like to talk to Wynn, who seems to be a lot more level-headed and calm about the situation that Wallace just tried to explain to us.
I go grab pints.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm for that. I nod my head in agreement about that, yeah.
All right. So Sir Kay steps away to do that. Now, what does Junie say to Wynn?
What?
What
you
does
cut out there.
Junie say to Wynn?
Well, I'm gonna kind of like force Wallace to sit down, hopefully, and look towards Wynn and be like, okay, I didn't understand a single word Wallace just said. Clearly you were there. Do you mind explaining?
Okay. We were sitting here waiting and heard a scream. So we went outside.
That sounds bad, but okay.
Yeah. Went outside and there was a woman getting pulled from a horse. And a town guard walking away and turning a corner. So we rush over. Yeah. So we rush over to try and help. And the half-naked part is because somehow Wallace told him to strip, and he did.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so, well, whoever it was that was pulling her off the horse got away, but it turns out that the woman was the Lady Mournton.
Okay, so where's the pint? Where's the pint? I need a pint.
I get over and I just set one down in front of her.
All right, Eric, if you'll wait there for a second, because we're gonna resolve you with the pints in just a second. Kristen, does Toby have anything that he would weigh in with at all?
No.
Okay, all right. So
maybe like at least he didn't get naked. I don't know. Yeah. No, he's just listening.
It was a real shame that he didn't get naked.
All right.
Yeah.
Where is Sweet Roll?
I'm just gonna kind of pat Wallace on the shoulders, but like just shh.
All right. So Eric, you go over to the bar, and the man that I described earlier is over there. And there's not a lot of people in here right now. It's still fairly earlier in the day. There are probably a couple of customers, having a meal, but it's not quite noontime yet. And you go over, and is your friend just gonna bleed all over my bar over there?
Not anymore,
Yes.
hopefully.
All right. Well,
Not anymore, hopefully. I think I've solved that for now.
You know, usually I don't do this with patrons, but someone's gonna have to clean that up. My help's not coming in until later.
It's fine. We will certainly deal with it. No problem.
Can I help you, friend?
Well, first, I'd like a round for everyone but the dwarf at the table. But I do have a question. And I kind of lean in and I just say this quietly, and I just say, is it normal for a town guard to ignore a lady in distress?
Well, and he'll just kind of like guffaw a bit. I can't imagine that would be normal.
Not even in Mournton.
What are you saying about Mournton, friend? I mean, I've never heard of such a thing happening.
I'd like to inside check that,
Okay.
if I could. Just see if he's telling the truth.
All right, give me an insight roll.
18 plus 1, 19.
All right. He doesn't seem to be, flat out lying to you, but you get the feeling that he's not revealing everything that he knows. His eyes were a little shifty as he was talking to you.
Okay. At this point, I make a motion as if like standing, kind of straightening my back, stretching a little bit, and I imagine I haven't sheathed my greatsword. Like, I've been walking through town with it on my shoulder, and I just like set it down on the ground next to the bar, and I make sure he can prominently see the symbol of the judge that's engraved above the crossguard. And I just say, well, you see, it would be a bit unfortunate if this was a more than occasional occurrence, considering my personal stance on these things. However, someone who is willing to share information would earn quite a bit of favor with myself, which could be put towards suggesting you've done some good for the Lady of Mournton.
Alright, well, he'll kind of, look a little puzzled at first and then kind of seem to catch on to what you're saying. Give me a persuasion of what you're doing
here. 22.
Alright, 22. Well, I mean, I can't quite say that I know very much, but, you know how nobility are, and he'll, kind of, look at you. I mean, they fight, infighting, they have each other assassinated. I mean, who knows, what might happen. You hear things. One hears things.
And suggesting that I do know anything about the affectations of nobles, what kind of nobles would be at odds in Mournton?
Well, I mean, I can tell you it's no big secret that there is a great rivalry between Mournton and Deepberry, the nobles here, the nobles there. I mean, assassination, that's a bit of a stretch, but you never know.
What was the second name? Deepberry, you said?
Deepberry, yeah. Which is a town that I've mentioned before. It's one I believe your character has actually gone through when you were bypassing the Wailing Woods. I believe I mentioned that the first session.
Yeah.
So, and I also mentioned kind of the rivalry that Deepberry and Mournton have as well. So,
gotcha.
He kind of speaks to that and essentially tells you that's no big secret,
I see. Well, thank you for the information. I will be sure to pass that along.
All right, so are you just talking, or will you be buying anything today?
Oh, we'll take a round at the table. Thank you.
All right. So, we'll say, you said you had the items pulled up over there? How much is a mug of ale?
The mug of ale, I'm pretty sure it's 4 copper.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. 4 copper.
Okay, all right. So he'll give you the total amount, and then you just subtract that accordingly. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And he'll, begin pouring your ale in tankards, and serve them up on the bar. If you'll go sit down, I suppose I can bring it out to you.
I appreciate it, and I just swing the great sword up and sheath it.
All right. So you go take a seat, and then moments later he'll come out with kind of a tray and all of your mugs, and begin serving them to the table, and he'll look at Wallace. I'm sorry about your trouble, sir, but we're gonna have to get this cleaned up over here at some point. It's quite a mess you've made on my floor. Glad to see you're still breathing.
Wallace isn't even going to say anything. He's going to look at him and then look back to. So, like, round his neck, he's got like this kind of like an amulet with like what looks to be like a kind of moth, like a chrysalis on it, and he's just sitting whispering to it.
Okay, all right.
Ale, finally! Oh, thank God! I need this so.
And Aldous will serve it up to your table, placing one in front of Junie and one in front of everyone else. Except, did you say earlier, except for...
Except the dwarf, because he already had one.
So the dwarf already has... Wallace already has an ale in front of him, so he serves up everyone else as well. And then, walks away, returns to the bar. Just kind of looks oddly at Wallace as he's, kind of backing away and going to the bar. Shortly after that, you'll hear sounds from the stairs. And descending the stairs, Sweet Roll, along with Killian, will come down. Killian has a bit of a stitched step, but is moving quite a bit better than he did the day before, and looks to have his wits about him much more. You can tell he's cleaned up, whereas he had, a kind of heavy, 10 o'clock shadow or whatever, going on. He's kind of shaved and cleaned himself up and just changed clothes, and they both come down with their bags. And as they get down, Sweet Roll will kind of look over at your table and wave and smile, and you're here. We're so glad that we get to see you before we leave. And then he'll kind of like, pull Killian over to the table, who is looking at your table rather sort of sheepishly, and Killian will...
Mind the blood.
What's that?
Mind the blood.
Right. So he'll pull him over and kind of like glance at the blood on the ground. What happened here? Killian says as he looks down.
A whole lot of crazy happened.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's one way to say it.
Sweet Roll and Killian will begin pulling up a smaller table closer to yours. And Sweet Roll will kind of like look over towards the bar and just, put up, 2 fingers. And all of us behind the bar will kind of nod, and after that bring out a couple of tankards of ale for them. And, we don't have a lot of time, but we'd love to hear the story. You seem to find a good bit of trouble for yourselves, to my benefit. I appreciate it. I don't believe we've properly met, or if we did, I don't quite remember it. But I'm Killian, and my friend here, Sweet Roll, tells me that I owe you a great gratitude, and I appreciate you so much. And then he told me that you wouldn't even allow him to pay what he had promised. And
I'm of the opinion that you'll need that gold for traveling, so considering we got quite enough from the bandits saving you, seemed appropriate.
It's true.
Well, we appreciate it. So tell me, do you have a name for yourselves?
No.
At this point, I think it's a bit much to consider us a group at this point. However, I'm sure we can all introduce ourselves, and I'll just say my name, shake his hand, the usual.
Sure. All right. What about everyone else? Junie, how would Junie respond?
She's as Kay's doing that, she's like taking a drink of her ale and realizes that he finishes quite a little bit sooner than she expected. So she's like trying to struggle to swallow, and she's like, "Hi, my name's Judy."
All right, Kristen, how or does Toby respond?
Yeah, hi, I'm Toby, and he probably spits out some bacon, like as he's
So
doing
classy.
it.
All right,
Class act.
Jess, what about Win?
Seeing their reactions, Wynn's shaking her head, turning away from them. I'm Loughlin, but you can call me Wynn.
All right, and then he's already Sir Kay has already introduced himself. Wallace or Lewis, what does Wallace do?
He's gonna kind of perch up a bit, and he's gonna like look over to Killian and smile and be like, "My name's Wallace. I sat with you for a wee bit when you had a wee bit of frostbite, and it was a bit weird, but I'm glad you're all right, and it's good to see." And by the way, this is still with like dry blood, like in his hair and stuff, like kind of on his forehead, dripping down into his eyes, just so casually. Where do you find yourself going to now then?
We make the best first impressions.
All right. And as he's looking at Wallace, you know, I mean, he noticed the blood earlier because Sir Kay had pointed it out, but he hadn't quite, you know, taken you in until this moment and seen all the blood, you know, in your hair, on your face, and sure, we'll get to that. But are you okay?
I'm fine.
You've got a bit of red everywhere.
You should see the other guy.
All right.
Well, apparently, we'd all see a bit too much of the other guy if he was still here.
It's true.
All right. Well, if you look this way, then I'm sure he's certainly worse for wear. We were thinking of heading east, back across the mountains. You know, I mean, we just travel and perform and pick up gigs and money as we can. I'd like to find
East,
my way.
like.
I'd like to find my way across the mall to Dritchland at some point. Heard they love performers there.
To the end of the world.
No, friend, the opposite direction. All right. So
My bad, I've had a rough day.
yeah. So your character, and you might not have even asked that because you're from Ironhome, and you definitely know that Dritchland is a country just kind of like across the mall. So the mall sort of surrounds on both sides. You're kind of like in a peninsula type area or something like that, right?
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
And the mall surrounds both sides. So yes, on the western side of the mall, World's End is across the mall. On the eastern side, the country of Dritchland is across the mall. So you know
Gotcha.
that he's referring to a country on the other side of here.
Okay. I'm gonna just gonna wish them luck, and I'm look to Sweet Roll, and I'm just gonna be like, "Yeah, stay safe, and you," and I'm gonna point to Killian. "You dinna ken how much of a good pal you've got, and you should treasure that,
All right, and
because it's no every day you come across friendship like that." And you're gonna see a tear slide down Wallace's right cheek.
all right. And as you do that, Killian will reach over to Sweet Roll and just put his hand on his shoulder, and you see him kind of squeeze, and he looks back at you and says, "Trust me, I do, and I do."
I ship it so hard.
And he looks at Sweet Roll, and you see, you know, a knowing look between them. And Sweet Roll will look at you and but are you sure you don't want to come with us? From all I can tell, you're going aimlessly, I think. You said you're from Ironhome. We're going to be passing.
I left home a long time ago. I'm not going back there until I've done something for myself, pal. But I hope that one day I come across you again.
I certainly hope so. I hope this is not the last time we see one another. I've only known you.
Definitely no.
and your friends for a short amount of time, but you are remarkable people, and Killian and I both owe you such a great amount that I don't know how we would repay. But we thank you, and I hope we can have this drink and part and meet again one day as the best of friends.
Well, I can drink to that.
Same
As
here.
can I.
Yep.
Killian raises his glass as well. And with that, I think it's a perfect moment to start, albeit a little early, or stop, albeit a little early. I don't know what we could do that we could resolve in 27 minutes. So.
I want to know where the rat is. Where's Cookie?
Oh, Cookie. All right. Yes, most certainly. So.
I need that closure.
All right. Okay. So how does Toby approach that? What does Toby say exactly?
No, he just curious. Like, is it on Killian's shoulder or out and about, or if it's not, he would probably ask about it.
All right. So you have your toast, and then Toby just kind of interjects with "Where's your rat friend?" or because it's definitely not out right now. And when you say that, Sweet Roll will smile, and he, you mean Cookie? You saw that, and you'll see him blush.
Oh, yeah.
Bit, and then he'll kind of like reach, within his tunic and pull out, this kind of brown rat, and sit it on the table. And it squeaks a little bit and, wrinkles itself. So, I assume that Sweet Roll and Killian are probably having some breakfast, and he'll break off a bit of bread and, just kind of hand it to you. And you can feed her if you like.
Oh, yeah. Well, Toby's a little used to some little rat friends coming into his workshop. So, yeah, he's going to give it a little nibble. Right. But, yeah, he got a glimpse of the rat when they were sitting by the fireplace. So, yeah, he just wanted to know it was okay.
Yes, it's certainly okay. And if you took the bread, then it would, come over to you and, eat from your hand as well. So.
Yay!
That's a good moment to pause. Now.
Are we gonna revisit the Book of Mirrors? Like why it sliced me open?
I mean, you could certainly read it again if you like.
Okay, we'll see how this goes then.
Right. Anyone have any other outstanding questions that I can answer? We have a little bit of time. I just didn't want to press on.
Reading is dangerous.
Clearly, this book's sliced me open. Yeah.
See when we were in the bandit camp when Killian was like kind of dealing with frostbite and stuff. Did I speak to him? I can't remember if I spoke to him about Ragnar or not. I don't know if I spoke to him because they're fairly well travelled, aren't they? I know I spoke to Felly.
Yeah, you spoke to Felly about Ragnar. You had spoken previously to Sweet Roll. And Sweet Roll had said that he didn't know about whom you were speaking. But he had told you that if he ever comes across him in his travels, and I think at that point he asked, what would you want to do? And you interjected something like, oh, I think he knows I'm looking for him, or something like that,
Yeah.
So I would say that Wallace probably intuits, given his wisdom, that if Sweet Roll had...
He would know that they wouldn't...
Killian probably...
He probably wouldn't know him. Okay, it was just a question as if to, like, if I know that Sweet Roll and Killian were close, but maybe if Killian, I don't know, was a bit more traveled than Sweet Roll was.
Yeah, we'll say you probably had a few more conversations with Sweet Roll than were actually played out, given the amount of time that you were together. And you would have gotten the feeling that aside from being separated due to the bandits capturing Killian, they're, pretty close and have been traveling together for a while, so... You would be pretty sure that Killian doesn't know Ragnar as well. So there's that. All right. So I had a lot of fun tonight. Nobody used their plot points, so you have a plot point remaining for next time.
I almost did to get that stone back.
Yeah.
So I was so tempted.
Yeah.
Can we use plot points off screen? That's a question that I had that I forgot about. Like,
I
could
was going to ask
mail
that
you?
question as well.
Could I mail you about something that I don't know from a plot point?
I don't have an answer to that yet. Let me think about it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying
Secrets.
no. I hate for something. Well, no. Just let me pause on that question, and I'll come back to it. And I'll get with you guys on Discord about that, and I may allow it. Didn't really think about that, but yeah, I'll think about it. So, anyway, I had fun. I appreciate you guys showing up again tonight. I am thoroughly enjoying things, and I hope you can say the same. Before we get off of here, anybody else have anything they want to plug or say? Shondell?
Just Twitch and Twitter at Shandy Valley. That's it.
All right. Eric?
Find me on Twitter at Eldritch Crow, and if any podcasters are watching, check out the Playcaster Society Discord, at the Playcasters on Twitter as well. And I believe by now the next episode of my D&D podcast would be up, so check out Dice Nights on Podbean.
Excellent. Kristen?
Hey, find me on Twitter at the IT Pirate Now. I also have a podcast, D&D Monster Lore podcast, so you can find it at everywhere: Google Play, iTunes, all those good places. So yeah, check it out.
All right. Lewis?
Just you can find me on Twitter at DM Nexus, and also shout out to the DM Collective Discord.
And then Jess.
All right. I should get my Etsy shop up and running this coming week for knit and crochet D&D items. So you can check out on Twitter, fairy underscore. Oh no, sorry, it's palace underscore fairy for updates on that.
Sweet.
Excellent. And
Awesome.
once again,
Cool.
I'm RJ Cresswell, and if you happen to find me and don't already know where I am on Twitter, it's RJ_Cresswell or at RJ_Cresswell. And aside from posting a lot of stuff about D&D, this is pretty much what I do with these lovely people. The Tainted Lands Mist of Mournton is the name of our stream, and if you happen to watch this tonight or watch this in the future, thank you very much. And once again, guys, or y'all, I appreciate this you playing very much. I had fun. I hope you say the same.
Oh yeah, this is so
Yeah.
great.
Definitely, yeah.
It's always a good time.
I had lots of fun
Good time.
tonight.
All right. Good night.